And welcome back to my channel, unless you're new here. And then just welcome, my name is Rusty, and this is my channel where I talk about my favorite movies, mostly horror, and my favorite music, mostly metal. And now, I'm going to discuss a couple from my top list. I had just done my best of 2023, so I'm going to try to go through a few of those that I haven't already. I know I did Cobweb and stuff like that. So yeah, we're going to hit a couple of more, and tonight I'm going to dive into why I liked The Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe. I'm not a big Russell Crowe fan. I used to be, back when he didn't look like he does now, but I'm so shallow. Anyway, so The Pope's Exorcist was released, of course, in 2023. And it was directed by Julius Avery, written by Michael Petroni. Stars Russell Crowe, Danielle Zovatto, and Alexandra Essoe. Yes, it really was. So, this movie is, of course, about Gabriel Amort. Now, Father Gabriel, in the opening scene, we see him visiting this small village-like area where he is looking at a suspected demon possession. And this opening scene was really cool. It scared the shit out of me because, I had no idea what they were going to do with that pig. And what they did with that pig was scared the shit out of me. So, he says, of course, that the possession was not real, but we know that it was. So, that's what he tells the cardinals anyway, because we then see, after the infamous pig scene, we are introduced to the cardinals, who are definitely jumping his ass about his behavior. Man, people always be creeping around here. But, so yeah, we see him being jumped on by these cardinals who are very upset with his behavior, doing these I guess what you would call unauthorized exorcisms, which he didn't even believe it was an exorcist at the time, He was like, the guy just needed a little attention. So, we are introduced to the year. It's 1987 in Castile, Spain, where we are introduced to Julia and her daughter Amy and son Henry, who have come to take possession of the family estate, which is an old abbey that, was left to her by the father that had died a year earlier, by her husband who had died a year earlier. It was the only thing that they really own now, that he's gone. So their plan is to fix it up and sell it and, be able to start a new life. We are introduced to Father Esquibal, who is the local priest who comes to visit Julia. Henry finds an artifact in the basement. There's that creepy scene where he finds a little light shining out of the wall. He looks in there and finds this artifact, and, we realize that he hasn't spoken in a year since the night his father was killed. Cardinal Sullivan is pretty much the nemesis of Gabriel. Thinks that Gabriel is like the Wayback Machine or something, like living in the past. So And Gabriel considers him to be ridiculous because he's like, you're a cardinal but doesn't believe in evil. You know what I mean? So there's a big conflict between the new and the old. So we also find out that he believes that this admonishment that he was getting for that pig exorcism thing is actually about this dead girl that he feels guilty about misdiagnosing, who ended up committing suicide, named Rosaria. So it's at this time that Henry really begins to exhibit signs that something is wrong. The construction crew also gets spooked after finding a hidden chamber. They refuse to continue working anymore on the Abbey, so Julia and them are left there alone because they're freaked out by the little gas explosion, which they believed was more than a gas explosion. So they don't work there anymore. The possession begins, really. She ends up taking, the scenes were absolutely phenomenal. And she ends up taking him to a doctor, and they perform all these tests, CAT scans, MRIs, blood work, everything to try to find out what's wrong with him. And everything is clean. Everything is completely spotless. There's no sign of illness, no problem in his head. Everything is good. So this leaves them all pretty damn confused as to what could be going on because of the way that he is acting, right? And in the meantime, the father, Gabe, is told to go meet the Pope, and the Pope, tells him about this case of this little boy that has come to their attention. And wondering, he's got a funny feeling about it, he says. So he sends Gabriel to check it out to see if he can help this boy. He believes from his research that it is one of the sites where one of the 200 fallen angels dwell on earth. He goes and meets the family, and he meets Father Escobar. And we have first contact, and Gabe knows it's real when Gabe goes up to meet Henry. That is a phenomenal scene. I think that they did the dubbing of the voices and stuff with him, with Henry, very, very well. I never saw a mistake, and it looks awesome. So I'm not a huge fan of exorcism movies, but if they're good, I can dig them. This did make my top list. I think it was number 6 or 7 of the year. So I really did like this movie. He realizes by what this guy says that this is real. This isn't, bullshit. And as a matter of fact, he's a little scary. This demon shows him visions of Rosaria and reveals Escobar's affair with a girl in town. So he kind of blows both of them away. This is definitely a tough demon, and Gabriel realizes that the plan must be a lot bigger for him to have called for him. So the plot thickens, so to speak. So he then goes out and discovers, because he had seen something in the foyer that concerned him. So he went back and looked at that and discovered that this abbey has a secret room complex below it, and was the site of a crusade exorcism of a major demon. Now, Julia and Amy are meanwhile attacked because he took Escobar out there to show him this, I guess what you would call entrance into this underground complex underneath the Abbey. So we see Julia and Amy attacked. Escobar gets his ear bitten off. Gabe then sends the three of them to the chapel. He shows Escobar what he had found, and they search for further entrances into the underground where they find a sanctuary. They then discover that this was the location of the Lord High Protector, the leader of the Crusades, who was guarding a cell where the demon had been imprisoned. And he's still there in a cage. But the cage wasn't to hold him in. The cage was to keep something from getting to him because he has the key in his stomach. And he's been there for 500 years. You know. So, Gabe finds the Exorcist journal and learns the demon's name, which, supposedly gives them more power over the demon if you know its name. So, and also realizes that this demon is so powerful that it can possess multiple people at the same time. Another thing he discovers is that the Inquisition was the work of a possessed exorcist. So everything that occurred, which is very, what would you call that? Very convenient for the Catholic Church to find out that the Inquisition was actually not them. It was actually a possessed exorcist, because this demon prefers taking the souls of exorcists. That he had taken the soul of that exorcist back at the beginning of the Crusades, and that's how he himself convinced the Pope and everyone to start the Spanish Inquisition, basically absolving the Catholic Church of that little naughty excursion. So I did think that was a pretty interesting plot point. So the Inquisition was all the work of a possessed exorcist. Now we see Julia, who finds Amy and Henry both together on the bed. Obviously, she's been possessed too. That was a pretty creepy scene. Gabriel and them learned that what the demon is trying to do, this is his purpose. He's trying to find the 200 locations and raise each of that 200 fallen angels to create an army to completely destroy the church. The Catholic Church, that is. So, Asmodeus is the demon's name. Escobar and Gabe realize that he wants to possess Gabriel to infiltrate the church and do the Inquisition all over again, just like it had done before. So, they prepare for the final fight, or at least what they think is the final fight, by confessing their sins, where we learn that Gabriel had played dead while his whole squad in the war had been killed. And that was his big guilt trip. That was his big sin. That's what the demon could use against him. So, and then Rosario was a mistake because she, claimed to be possessed. He sort of blew her off because he knew that it was just a mental illness, which is true. It was. But he feels guilty because rather than actually get her help, it wasn't his business because you're not possessed. So he abandoned her. She ended up committing suicide right in front of him, and that's the two big guilt trips that any demon could use against him. So they try the exorcism again. Amy reveals that she is also possessed now at the same time. So the demon really goes nuts. but convinces, I'm going to kill them all if you don't let me have you. So Gabriel turns himself over, and once possessed, Gabriel, manages to make it to the sanctum. After they had, he had gotten Escobar to take the family and leave. So Escobar comes back and finds him, looking for him, and finds him down there and helps him in this huge boss battle exorcism scene where he is actually assisting Gabe in exorcising himself. So you have this really cool, huge battle where they do finally win. Some great special effects, in my opinion. And then Gabriel and Escobar goes to see the Pope, where they're given a new job, and that is to find to locate the other 199 sites on Earth that contain these specific 200 fallen angels. Now that they've located one, they could seal it and consecrate the ground again, basically trapping that particular fallen angel permanently in its location, never to be raised. And they need to find the other 199, which I guess gives you 199 sequels if you want it, right? So, there's a lot of people I've seen that didn't like this movie. But then again, there's a lot of people that I've seen that have it on their top 10 like I do. So, I guess it's a split movie. I know that it's getting a sequel, which I'm very happy about. Like I said, I'm not like possession movies. I've got quite a few. Some of the ones I really want is hard to find. Like I want this one called The Possession of Michael. And I can't. I've managed to find it a couple of times, but it wasn't at the right time, right place, right price. And I've lost it. So, but I'll get it eventually. But I really want that one. But I've got quite a few possession movies. And I enjoy the genre as long as it's really good. I don't agree with a lot of people about some of them. For instance, everybody's crazy about The Exorcist. I love The Exorcist. The Exorcist is a fantastic movie, but I actually prefer Exorcist 3 over the original. And 2 doesn't exist in anybody's real world. But that I know anyway. So yeah, that was Russell Crowe in The Pope's Exorcist. I liked Russell's priest. I told people that his portrayal of Gabriel reminds me a great deal of Gene Hackman's portrayal of the priest in the Poseidon Adventure. Mouthy. Gabriel's a lot more goofy. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Gabriel's a little more goofy. Whereas there wasn't really anything goofy about Gene Hackman in the Poseidon Adventure, his priest. But they're both of them. The reason he reminds me so much of Gene Hackman's priest and Poseidon Adventure is because he's a rebel. He's very, he's like a rogue. He's like a rogue priest. And Gabriel is like a rogue priest too. He didn't take no shit off those cardinals. The special effects in this movie was really good. The possession effect was really good. I really liked Henry's possession. I think they did an excellent job, and I think he did an excellent job playing this possessed character. So, yeah, I really liked this movie. Tell me what you think about it. I really do care. So, yeah, let me know in the comment what you thought about The Pope's Exorcist. Do you like it? Did you hate it? Was it? I don't know. It's alright. So yeah. Pope's Exorcist, Russell Crowe, 2023. Don't know exactly where it was on my top list, but it was on the top 10. It wasn't an honorable mention. I'm going to do some of those too. So like I said, I've got a few to get through on my top list. Because seems kind of stupid not to do your top list. So I want to hit them along with some indies and stuff. So, yeah. I'll see you in the next thing that I do. Love you, miss you. Bye-bye. I will see you in the next. Au revoir. Remember what I said about dancing with the devil? The devil don't change. The devil changes you into a pretty scary looking little kid.